everyone, welcome back. So I finally got in my February Sketchbox and my Stencil Girl stencils and a surprise. So I'm kind of excited, and I just put out, a Pan Pastel class, and somebody mentioned underneath that video that I put out on YouTube that they thought that the February Sketchbox might be Pan Pastels, and so I didn't look anywhere, but now I'm thinking, are they Pan Pastels? Let's just take a look and see. Let me scoot this one box over to the side. I'll show you what that is in a minute. Oh, now this is like an applicator. Oh, yep, look at there, it is. So very apropos that my new class is about Pan Pastels. Let's see what we got here. So we've got this lovely yellow, which is the Derylide yellow, which I like. And I also like this one. What? Okay, so we've got, this is a magenta shade, and we have one that got broken. That's okay. You can still use them broken, and you can add alcohol to them and get them to tighten back up, but that's turquoise shade. So these are all colors that I think I used maybe in that video. I'm kind of excited actually. Look at these applicators. Okay, so we've got a Brinzil design, a pastel pencil, a Holland pastel pencil. I've not heard of that one. Okay, very interesting. And we've got some other applicators, which I have never seen. Applicators this shape. So that's actually pretty cool to be having some of those. And then of course this one that looks like a makeup applicator is cool. And then what is this? What is this? Oh, Artist Pastels Sketchbox Signature Cloud White. I didn't even know Sketchbox had their own pastels. That's pretty awesome. And we got a high polymer eraser, which I love the high polymer erasers. There we go. We also got a Sketchbox sticker. We've got pastel paper cream. So this is more like not the pastel paper that I'm usually using. Oh, and we got some applicators. I'm usually using pastel paper that feels like sandpaper. This pastel paper is more like the pastel matte. It's more like almost like a watercolor textured kind of paper. So that'll be interesting to kind of play on and experiment with. So, okay, those are good. I like the colors that we got this time, so we'll do something with this in just a moment. But let's see what else we got, and then we'll make something with the pastels. So the Sketchbox Artist Pastel blend a variety of tints with this approachable pastel. And that pastel class, I tell you, you really just need a set of the brights and the white and the black, because the white and the black will make all your tints and shades. So this is going to allow us to make a tint of any of the colors that we have by adding the white to it. So that's pretty exciting. That's a good box this time, especially if you want to experiment with Pan Pastels. Oh, give me a break here. What? I got a faulty envelope. This is our Stencil Club, Stencil Girl Stencil Club. So these are the monthly stencils that you can get through their club. It's whatever it is they want to make each month and send us. And I have just thoroughly enjoyed being a member of the Stencil Club. And look at this. These are some really lovely, what are those, like crocus? What are those called? Different flower patterns. So I actually like different flower patterns. Ooh, I love that one. Look at that. Love that. Okay, so these are good. These are good. I'm actually looking forward to using these. So these are the February. Does it say February? It should say February. Oh, January. This is a January set. So I guess, oh, we're just going into February. I guess I'm waiting. I guess that's about right. So this was the January set. And so I linked the Stencil Club for you below. It's its own page, and all these Stencil Club stencils, you can get past months on that page too, but you got to be a member of the club to get those. They're not just on their main site. I actually love that one. I cannot wait to give that one a go. So, okay, good one. All right, let me open this third box. Whoa, wait till you see what this is. Just gonna pull the whole thing over here. So I don't know if you know that I like working in art journals, and I love my Dina Wakley journals, and I love my handmade journals. And if you saw the Dina Wakley end of January, beginning of February, like the new release of product, but they got a new journal, and I may have ordered 2 of them. And what I really love is this one is like an antique ledger. So I did order 2, and I think if you saw my studio tour, go back on the videos, a video or 2 back, I just posted a studio tour. If you had eagle eyes, you would have noticed my little hoard of the Dina Wakley journals. Like, who in their right mind needs 2, 4, 6, 7 of the little ones and 2 of the big ones? How many of you eagle-eyed saw that? Because when they came out with the little one, I got the 2 bigger ones when I got my original big one, because I thought, ooh, I can make a class out of these or do something fun, and then they discontinued it, and I'm like, okay, not gonna do that. But I've been using them in the YouTube videos anyway. And then when the little one came back out for this one last final run of those, I'm like, I think I need a couple. And then a couple days later, I'd be like, I think I need a couple more. And then I ended up with 7. Like, what? So I don't need all those. I'll eventually maybe pass them along, but I do have a little tiny bit of artist hoarder tendency if I know I can't get it again. This is the coolest thing. I like working with vintage papers. I like antique journals. I like old ledgers. I've got an old ledger that was my granddaddy's. That was like his old plumbing ledger, because he was a plumber in like the 50s and 60s. And so it's just really cool. And what they have done was she found an original old ledger this size. So it is true to size of the original one she found. And they got permission to basically recreate it and print it on a little bit thicker paper than the original. And you know, working with old papers, they're very delicate. They tend to fall apart. You can put gesso on them, but they still are already old. So what's cool about this is it's just recreated, and it's on a, I want to say she said 100 and something, 180 GSM paper. So it's not as thick as the 300 GSM watercolor paper that I like to work on. It measures 12 inch by 7.5 inch, and it is a reproduction of an authentic 1920s hardware store ledger. Smooth, sturdy paper that works well with mixed media paints, glosses, scribble sticks, mediums, and more. So it is like a mixed media paper, and if you were going to put too much stuff on it, I might just gesso it and then paint on top of that. But how amazing is this? I already kind of have a little tiny inkling of an idea for what I might do with one of these. I'm kind of thinking in my mind, like, work with certain color palettes and do the color palette on one side and then an abstract painting on the other. I don't know, just an idea that I'm kind of considering, just as my own personal kind of project thing. And I love that we're going to already have some beautiful vintage papers that we didn't have to buy, and we don't have to ruin the original. And so if that looks interesting to you, I'd go grab these while they're available, because as we know, she puts them out, and then after they sell through that, they may not come back. So this is probably like the coolest thing. So I'm very excited to get those, and I wanted to share because those just came out, and I'm definitely going to be working in this one. So if it looks interesting and you want to work along with me later, whenever we get to it, go grab one of those. I did notice that it's doing the same thing on the Ranger site that the small mixed media ones did, and after they sell through a certain quantity for the day, it says sold out, but then if you go back the next day, they've added more stock on there. So I think it's just like their way of controlling the inventory that they're doing. So if it says sold out when you go look, keep checking back. They keep adding stock to it. Oh, I love these. Okay, so let's take a look at the pastels. And I think what I'm going to do is try out this new paper here. And I like pastel paper. I like the sanded one. I'm going to go ahead and just tape it down because I want to. Because I want to. Let me move the box out of the way so I can set that there. What I like about the sanded pastel paper is I like how it really grabs the pastel. And I have a pastel artist friend, and she uses the pastel matte, which is a texture similar to this. And she loves that better than the sanded paper. So it really is all about personal preference when you're working with pastels. And so you kind of want to give all of them a try out and then say, okay, here's the one that I like and here's why I like it. So I like the sanded ones because I'm gonna pull mine out. I've got the same colors, I think, already used on my thing I've got here, so I can save the new ones for a little tiny bit. So I'm just gonna make sure I get the same colors. So that one is turquoise shade. So let's just pull the turquoise shade out. And I've got the magenta. That's the extra dark. So I'll go ahead and pull the magenta. That's the regular, that's the magenta dark, and I've got magenta extra dark. Yeah, magenta shade. And then, I'm pretty sure I've got the Derylite yellow right here. Yes, we do. And that way I don't have to dig into the new one if I don't have to. Alright, so, ooh, already had pastel there. So I don't normally blow anything with the pastel. I always have a sheet of like shop towel with some water on it to make sure that I can tap pastel powder down onto this rather than blowing it, because if you blow pastel powder, you will contaminate everything on your desk and you will be getting powder on everything forever. It's just gonna be like a mess forever. Oh, where's that white? Let's get that white out. Let's test out the white. I'm kind of surprised that Sketchbox got their own signature white. That's pretty cool. So we're going to give that white a go too, because you can use it in mixing and making lighter colors. That looks like a makeup thing there, doesn't it? So super cool. I'm gonna do some abstracts here. Okay, so it is quite a bit of difference actually from the sanded paper, and you can almost see the difference as I'm putting it on here. Oh, that's very interesting. It's going to layer differently and it's going to look different than the other pastel papers. Let me see if I've got a piece of pastel paper over here. Oh, I do have a piece that I did before. It's just a little sample piece that I did, but just to give you an idea, you can see how it looks completely different on this sanded paper than it does here on this paper. It's a completely different look and feel. So definitely experiment with all of them that you kind of like, because, you know, if I can keep on going here a little bit and just play as a sample, and then I can come back on here and mix stuff with that white, making things lighter and just an interesting kind of look and mix. The sandpaper really grabs that pastel quite a bit differently than this paper is. So I'm finding that interesting. I'm not going to say that I don't like it, but I will say that I never loved the pastel matte because I liked the sanded paper look so much. but that's just my personal preference. My friend that does pastel artistry, she does like big sky landscapes where you have like a little landscape and a great big sky. She does not like the sanded paper. She loves the pastel mat to get the looks that she's going for in her art. And I find that fascinating, how, because I'm like, really? I don't like it at all. Why do you like it? Just kind of like teasing around with her, but I'm like, what is it that you like about it? And she likes the texture, and she likes the way that things layer on it, and for whatever reason she did not love the sandy paper feel of the UArt and the Spectrum art papers. And I just find that fascinating, and these really do mix way differently on this paper than they do on the sanded paper, and that's kind of interesting. So I might just take the white now and go through and play as a blending agent and just see, like, what can we get these to look at with the white blended in. And I think too, in the end, like, this might take less pastel than, say, the sanded paper one, because the sandpaper's got like a layer of like grit, like it's like a piece of sand glued to paper, basically, is what they feel like. And they're going to continue to have enough grit there for you to keep adding to it, whereas the paper has just got a little tiny bit of a texture. And so after a while, that texture is going to be so full that it's not going to let you continue layering on top of it. And so that might be why I don't love it, because sometimes I want to layer more on stuff. And I don't like this initial kind of texture that this gives, that I was getting as I laid this initial layer on. So now I'm just going to come back and see if I lay some more on top. Do I like it? This actually felt a little bit waxy. Just as an observation, it does feel different than the Pan Pastels. It is a different feel. I think I like the regular other pastel papers better, but you know what? We wouldn't know these things if we didn't have things like these boxes to send us a little set of sample papers to test out, because you might test it out with your style of art. Obviously, I like doing fun little abstracts and stuff, but you might test it out and be like, whoa, love it, best paper I ever tried. Maybe you didn't like the other papers. You definitely get into some preferences here with the way you like to work and what you like to create. I need to grill my friend some more on why she loves this paper, but it blends differently and it acts differently when she was doing those big sky pieces. Found that fascinating. Okay, so that's very interesting. I could keep just piling some more on there, but let's go ahead. Don't blow the pastel. You can tap it, you can tap it down, get it on your wet paper towel, and then you can fold that down so that you're no longer spreading pastel stuff everywhere. And then a lot of times with the pastel pencil, so very interesting. Here is a big difference with this paper and the pastel, and it could be because I layered all of that white on there. With this, I have a surface that is still ready to grab my pastel no matter what. And that's what I like about the Spectrum art or the UArt paper. So I think that paper is the Spectrum art. I had the little package somewhere. But I like that and the UArt, so either one of those would be good. But I can see adding that white on here, and it really even could, yeah, it's definitely the white. The white is kind of waxy. So whatever they've used in that white does not let the pencil grab in a way that the sandpaper lets the pencil grab. So that's a very interesting observation. And I really like this pencil over here on the sanded paper. It's beautiful, crisp. It's a pretty brown color. Kind of different here with what we're doing with this pencil here. So that's very interesting. Another thing, the reason why the high polymer eraser is nice, because then you could come back and actually erase some stuff off of your page. And different papers are erased differently, so it takes a little effort, but you'll eventually get back down to possibly that underlayer. It's easier on this paper here to do that too. You can erase that right off down to the black and get back down to a lower layer. So I like the high polymer erasers for erasing and playing and maybe adding more color back on, and then we could come back and maybe test out our pencil. Alright, I don't love the pencil with this paper. I just don't. It does not show up like the other things that we have that would show up better. So you could probably do on top of these and this paper, like a Neo Color 2 crayon would be a better option. As something to mark make with. You can see how much better we're going to get with our marks with our little crayons. You could probably do any of our, I don't know that I would necessarily do our acrylic paint markers with it, because these are a powder and I would hate to get all that powder, gumming up our paint marker tips. But you could certainly play and experiment with that. You could use your little woody crayons with this. That would be good. I definitely like it as a base for the Neo Color 2 crayons. Because at least now, from an abstract point of view anyway, rather than the pastel pencils, this was an interesting lesson to learn actually, because I have pastel pencils and I love them. But with this particular paper, which is the Rembrandt pastel paper, which is also like the pastel mat, pastel pencil isn't doing what I would want it to do as far as layering on top of the pastel work that we've already got on here. I think that's a pretty cool observation and lesson that we just got to learn together. Oh, but I definitely like these. And you could definitely use, now that I've used these and mentioned that, you could also use soft pastels, probably oil pastels. Here's some soft pastels by Mungyo. So we could definitely come back in with maybe some mark making. Okay, so these are actually so hard that it is not picking up like I would have expected, so don't like that. I've also got some soft pastels here by Sennelier, which in another piece that I did, the Sennelier actually was my favorite. Oh yeah, the Sennelier is the way to go. Very, very textured, soft, picks right up on there. Definitely Sennelier half sticks if you want to do a soft pastel. The harder ones just aren't sticking to the paper. It's just not picking it up. So it's got to be a softer one of these. And then for cleanup, I'm just got my microfiber cloth here, and you can just clean your fingers with that. That's how I also clean my tools. And then I just keep using these tools. I just get the initial color off. Okay, I lost that one. But I get the initial color off and don't even bother trying to get it out of the sponge. Totally. I get as much off as I can and then just keep using that sponge. It's just fine until it finally starts shredding, and I don't even mostly try to stick to the same colors as long as I've got the majority of the color off and it's no longer bleeding onto my microfiber cloth. I just go and keep on using it with whatever color I want. And then these I just throw in the washing machine when I get a whole little pile of them by themselves, and they wash out really nicely. And then once I do all that work on here, again, tap don't blow. And then I might just go ahead and peel the tape. And we might just need to use our heat gun. Oh no, this one doesn't tear the paper. Bonus for it. Okay, it gets in the plus. It does not tear the paper when we peel the tape. So that's a point in its favor. I would say it's definitely comparable to the pastel matte paper. It's not like the UArt or the Spectrum Art paper. It's not sanded paper. It is textured, what feels almost like a watercolor paper, for a comparison. All right, there we go. That was super fun. I hope you enjoyed doing a little explore today on a different paper with the Pan Pastels in our little Sketchbox, and you had fun checking out the new Dina Wakley Ledger, which I'm super excited, and maybe have a fun project in my mind for that, and the yummy stencils from the Stencil Girl. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next month.